You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while feeling bloodthirsty and inventing knapsack ponies. Hey HBs, I'm so excited I get to shout out a few more patrons. Thank you so much for your support and the beautiful community you've built with us. You are the bestest. Rachel, Deborah B, Jordan M, Coco I, and Laura L. And this Friday on the bonus feed, Sabrina and I are doing a reading roundup of all the romance we've been enjoying outside of the podcast. All right, when we left off, King Kalai was really just internalizing how much his fated wife had been abused because of the stupid ruse no one could talk him out of. This episode gets super gory, like deliciously gory. So, do with that what you will. Here we go. So anyway, Julio explains all of this to him. He's like, she's been hit, she's also been whipped, and she won't tell me who did it to her. She doesn't want to get in more trouble by telling us. So he tries to get it out of her, and he's like, little bird, you left your shoes in my room this morning when you ran away. And she wants to correct him that she didn't run away, but she can't.
And so he's being so sweet, and she's like starting to melt.
And she's just got tears streaming down her face.
And then he's like, tell me, little bird. And then she realizes he is trying to like soften her up into admitting what happened. And she just clamps down even harder. And then Rosalind.
And she says, no, my king. And Oleg says, you're not allowed to refuse the king anything. You strip down, that's 10 lashes. And she's like, I already have untreated lashes. And he's like, you think I give a fuck? Don't worry, my king. We're gonna whip her to your satisfaction. And then he ignores Oleg and he starts asking her again. And then finally, Rosalind just like gets fed up with this whole situation.
Rosalind grabs a shovel.
Oh, she can't read the room.
Starts digging. She is digging, and she's
like, oh my God, everybody's making this huge production about this. It was me, okay? She's my thrall. She's my ward. I did it because she's like, she did something bad. This is just like the way the world works.
And frankly, I didn't get any money out of it, so Your Highness, this is how much money I need for her ×3, because there's this blah, blah, blah for Tori, and then twice that for me, and then blah, blah, blah. And boy, as she's chatting, she's just digging, tossing dirt over her shoulder. Yeah. She's like, and also, on top of that, frankly, she's ruined for all of the future too, because like all of the blah, 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 and nobody's going to be able to do this and that, and she's too skittish and yada, yada. And he is listening and he's like,
shark-eyed. Okay, he's back to shark eyes.
Interesting.
So then the healer comes and he has her look at her and he's like, okay, well, you're going to go back and you are going to spend the day resting in my quarters and we will dine together privately tonight. And we'll talk about this, later. And you're going to be taken care of.
I just need it to be known. I'm obsessed with Hilda.
Oh, yeah.
I would
read Hilda's book hard.
I would crawl on my hands and knees for Hilda. I don't know why Hilda hit so hard. I think
she's great.
She's no nonsense.
Yes.
She is competence boner central. She has no problem looking at her king and being like, you're dumb.
You're being a dumbass.
And she, ma'am.
She's great.
You know,
it would be sapphic, right? It has to be sapphic.
It doesn't have to be, but she's in charge.
Yeah, she's always
no matter what this is. No matter what this is, femdom.
Yeah.
God, there's no other option.
Maybe it's a poly femdom situation. I don't know. Look, I don't know.
No, you know what it is. In a perfect world, she's femdom, and Ilya, Vikra's younger brother, is her hot little piece of ass.
Oh, I like it. Her boy toy.
Her boy, like
I don't hate that.
I don't know if you're listening, because he ends up going to the city anyway for training, and it's already stated. We find out at the end of the book that the whole goal is to spread that seed so that the whole town doesn't get inbred. Right. And so, like, what if Ilya and
what if he gets a scrape? You know, he's gonna need a healer.
He's gonna need a healer a couple of times. You know what I mean? Yeah. He did get a little cut in the game.
He does. Yeah, he will.
And what if that's the beginning? She notices. What if he does? What if she doesn't even notice him at first? He's just another young buck coming into the city for training.
But he notices her.
Oh, he's like, and even better, he thinks that he's like, what a beautiful woman. I will gain her interest. And then he's like, oh, this is the vibe. I actually really like this. Even better, he's already canonically ambidextrous. Verse switch, my friend.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe book 2 will do things for us again.
Is this a series? I didn't see that it was a series when I looked at it. I don't know. Hey, Elizabeth Stevens, just if you're listening, there is interest. If you decide to continue that. And frankly, we just wrote our own little fanfic, but also whatever you do.
We cede the rights to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you, like, not only that, like, oh, man, just grocery list time, you know?
Sure.
Like I'd read that too. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So she goes back and Hilda does like healing salts on her and stuff. And then she is about to go to sleep. She gets some milk of the poppy, okay, for the pain. And that makes her a little sleepies. And then she realizes that she falls to sleep to the soundtrack of screaming. That's weird. But she's too often Sleepy Town land to care.
Listener, we're gonna jet through a lot of the rest of the book just because we're quite a ways in.
I don't know that we're gonna
I say that. That's the intention.
That's wishful thinking is what that is. That's anyway. Trying to manifest. She's gonna fail though.
Yeah, you don't need to like tell me.
Oh, like say the quiet part out loud.
You don't have to say like that's an inside thought, Melody.
I think Rosalind might have made me even more of a bull in a china shop, you know? Like maybe Rosalind's kind of rubbing off on me and somehow I'm less subtle than I was before. That would be scary. That wouldn't be good.
Did we mention earlier when we were waxing poetic about Melody's virtues that she's
all my wonderful traits?
Subtle? Did we like just I don't know if we touched on that one, so I don't even think in like a fictional list of good traits, subtle would be one of them. You know what I mean? Hey, you're allowed to wave whatever flag it is that you feel like wielding at the time. You know,
it feels like a stretch, is all. I feel like the wildflowers is actually more attainable than me being subtle.
Frankly, I feel like pony fanny pads might be more attainable not throwing stones because like I'm also not great but just saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
So Calai allows Rosalind to dig more of her grave and she goes off on him even more in the hall. So he looks at Pulio and he's like, did you hear how many golds and silvers we need to pay her? Please go and prepare it. But like, make sure to bring it to me because I want to personally deliver it. And Pulio gets this maniacal twinkle in his eyes, okay? Because all of them are hot for torture.
I've never met a group of people more horny for torture.
Yeah. Ooh.
2, I went a lot of places that maniacal twinkle could have gone in my brain.
Okay.
And I was wrong in every single one of them. In every single path I went down, I was incorrect.
Yeah, this is the time that he's going through his Rolodex of tortures and he realizes how limited he is without access to his formal dungeon. And so he's going to have to wing it, everybody, okay? But, you know, once he realizes just how much silver and gold they're requiring, he gets a real brainiac idea.
Well, it's also super interesting, the creativity that you can source out of scarcity, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's what he thinks to himself. Oh, it's so good. And he thinks, like, I kind of fucked up some things yesterday, and Gabari, because Gabari is Rhea. Rhea is the goddess of soft things. And her, like, husband and protector and, like, sort of feral, you know, like, I'll burn the world down for you, god husband is Gabari. And so earlier, Pulio and he were talking about the fact that Gabari would be pretty fucking pissed off that he took this, like, you know, like brand new lady and just fucked her like a whore and announced it to everybody before marrying her in Gabari's temple. Like, he might not be too happy with you about that. And he thinks to himself, yeah, I'm going to have to make a couple of sacrifices for that one, huh? And Gabari only takes human sacrifices, so, Hi, Rosalind.
We're going to kill a couple birds with one stone.
Yeah, you know? I wonder what's going on with you.
Or one ancient Viking torture.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So they grab Oleg to keep him back, and he grabs Rosalind, and one of the guys talks to one of the guys in town who has already trained under... Did we tell them what he does? Look, here's the thing. What they do every single year is they collect, like, between 3 and 6 warriors from each of the outlying villages. They bring them to the capital city so that they can train with Kalai's men. They train them up so that they're really proficient fighters, and then they send them back out to their villages so that they can better protect everyone. And so that's what the games are. The games are an expo so that they can choose the warriors that go into the capital. So one of the guys that trained with him a few years ago, Vikra, is out there, and his dad is BFFs with Oleg. And so he's like, Vikra, you're our finest soldier. Get up and defend your chief. And then Vikra, Kalai looks over. Is so hot. Yeah, Kalai looks over and he's like, I guess this is when I learn whether or not my theory is correct. And Vikra comes over, pulls his sword, and then drops to a knee and presents the sword to Kalai. And he says, I am your servant. Tell me what you'd like me to do, King Kalai. And he's like, yeah, because that is the second benefit of doing all this training with all these village dudes, is that they then owe their fealty to me personally instead of this king high up on a hill, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's like, Vikra, you're a traitor. Well, that's not true. Oleg and his dad are like, you're a traitor. And then he is the other dude who holds Rosalind still so that oh my God.
He ends up telling Rosalind, he's like, give me that switch. And she gives it to him. This is before she gets grabbed, right? So she gives it to him. And then that's when he has everybody getting yoinked around. And then he says, get all of the thralls and bring them to me. And he says, when they get there, any of you who she has abused or hurt or beat, step forward.
You get to have your revenge.
And then there are she gets whipped, and then he rips a jewel off of her and gives it to them. And then she gets whipped.
And it's like a bonus if he breaks her finger in the fray. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We've talked a lot so far about how soft Kalai is. It is a little bird special because, boy, he loves of revenge. He loves a brutal, violent torture and murder.
Mm-hmm.
And then the local forger walks in the room and says, the payment is ready.
The blacksmith. He doesn't make fake documents. He's the guy who works the forge as the blacksmith. Sorry.
Yes, he is called the forger, but yes, he's the blacksmith.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure they knew. Sorry.
No, you're correct. And I'm glad you said it, actually, because I adopted him as the forger in my brain, but I did have a moment where I was like, what does forging documents have to do with any of this? You know, like, you're the king. Yeah, you can just, like, I feel like you just sign, seal, deliver, we're done,
just
you know?
Do a decree or whatever, you know?
Yeah, like, I don't know that we need to forge anything. Anyway, he is like, well, in his head, he's like, we gotta be quick about this because we're about to fucking tank this.
He brings Rosalind over to the fire, and the blacksmith heats all of the coins that are owed to her until they're molten metal. And then I'm going to read you how this chapter actually starts, because he does like a I'm in this moment and then a rewind back to everything, showing us what happens up to this moment and then catches up. So this is the POV that we're getting.
This content warning, listener, this is about to be graphic and bloody and gruesome.
It's fucking amazing. I watch the skin peel away from her face, smell the scent it creates. A familiar one to me, as her body is remade by greed, her head cocked back, her chest caved, her mouth open on a silent scream. Behind me, her male screams a blood-curdling shriek that will be heard by the gods. As it would seem, I was a little angrier than I originally thought. This is Psychopath Callie. It's so good. Yeah. So he pours all this molten metal down her throat and then watches.
By the way, very importantly, she refuses to open her mouth. So instead of like having somebody grab a jaw and tilt her head back or something like that, he does just stomp on her shin and grind it until it breaks, which makes her scream, and then he dumps it down her throat.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know that I've ever registered that you are, I'd say, pretty significantly more bloodthirsty than I am.
Yes.
I don't think I'd ever registered until this book.
Until right now.
Like the maniac joy that you have glittering in your eyeballs right now.
Yeah, did you see the sparkle?
I did. Yeah. It's like literally a visible sparkle in your face right now.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, violence is his love language, and I don't hate it.
But hey, I also don't hate it. I'm just laughing because, like, I just we've read some violent books before on pod together. You know, we've talked about some violent books, but like, it wasn't until this book. This is some of the most graphic, continuous torture scenes that we've read in a book and discussion of it, and you're just like. You're like,
what's next? Yeah, me and that pony just got popcorn out.
So he goes back in. Hilda, she has just woken up from a little nap, and Hilda's taking care of her. Hilda explains how to take care of her, and she's also like, hey, buddy, nothing, no intense acrobatics, bud.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, keeping your pants, healing. King. Okay.
And he's like, oh, man, you know what? I guess the least I can do is not fuck my wife who doesn't know that she's my wife.
Yeah, not fuck her into the mattress while she has open wounds on her back. God, I'm so good. He's such a good guy, Sabrina.
And so it really is a night and day switch.
Yeah.
He is the king, the bone king, and he is a bloodthirsty king.
Oh, and
he likes it. He enjoys it. It brings him a lot of joy.
Yeah, there's a line in here after she gets ushered back into the back room and he's going to start talking to Rosalind again, where he says, I drop my mask and any veneer of civility immediately disappears. So, like, he knows and he embraces that about himself.
Well, and I think that one of my favorite things that I did notice while reading this book is this idea. There's this whole thing. I'm not going to get super into it, but this idea that people have of just because somebody acts different around somebody else versus around me, those are neither, like, that means that one of those is not authentic. And that's just simply not true.
That's just not true.
It's simply not true, because like, we're making jokes about him being a multifaceted character previously, but I mean, people by definition are multifaceted, right? The person that you meet in one context is not going to be the same person that you meet in another context. And it could be within minutes of each other, but there's still this, that is that person, right? Like,
yeah,
they're not lying to you. They're not lying to somebody else. It's not a lie. It's just that the pieces of themselves that they are willing to share, depending on the situation, adjust, right? Like, this is the part that these people get. This is the part that others get.
Well, and, you know, it has to do with like the chemistry that you have with other people. It has to do with like the situation. It's environmental. It might be neurodivergent masking, you know? There's a lot of things, because like we two especially, maybe me especially, I can't look at anybody's face and say that if you act different around one person and another, you're fake. Because then like my whole life would be fake. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, especially because like with my specific flavors of neurodivergence, like I have scripts depending on, like, I've learned the rules around certain places, and so I act differently depending on the context, the people, the situation. And it's not that it is false, it is just that this is how you interact with this specific situation, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a mask doesn't mean it's a lie.
No.
A mask doesn't necessarily mean it's a lie. It is just simply the skin you wear for that.
Sure. And maybe the one like truly constant thing in my life is the inability to be subtle. And so a lot of people do the same thing. They're just not as expressive as I am. You know what I mean? So like,
about which mask you have on?
Yeah, like, I mean, truly, like it depends on what's going on, but somebody can be like hyper in front of one person and, you know, super chill around another person, but it'll look very similar. Whereas mine are, wow, they're totally different because I live in extremes, you know? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, no, I totally understand. It's just, this has been something rattling around in my head since we had a watch party just recently, listener, for the June watch party just a couple of days ago. And we ended up in I think it was after we turned off the recording, but we ended up in a pretty extensive conversation afterwards just about like context and act, like, this is a different, like, acting differently in situations, and the fact that a lot of, like, it seems like we were discussing what the potential causes were, but how some people don't switch depending on situations, and it's like, who raised you? Because like, this is not the context for this. Like, you need to have some courtesy to other people. I mean, part of that is we kind of dig into that in this book because we're not quite there yet, but he's realizing that he needs to make compromises about the things that brings him joy, because it is stuff that physically sickens this woman that he wants to be his wife for the rest of his life. He's like, you need to fit, like,
you need to figure out a way to be true to yourself, but still not make her like so horrified that she pukes.
Yes. You know, quite literally. And that is, there are times and places, Kalai. For murder, decaying body, blood times, you know?
Right. So he goes into the bedroom and she's awake and he sits down on the edge of the bed and he says, "May I sit with you at first?" And then she says, of course. And she's like ramrod straight. She doesn't know what to do. And he brought her food. And then he asks her if she likes cooking. And she looks at him and she's like, enjoy. What are you talking about? Like, I do it when I'm told to do it.
So at one point he says to her, "You've already been dismissed from your duties for the next few days. Would you sit with me and spend time with me during the upcoming games?" And she's like, "I don't know if I'm okay with that." And he's like, "Okay, I get it. Can I ask why? Like, what is the reasoning behind that?" And she says, It's just that my body is very tired and I worry that I won't be able to give you what you want from me. And he gets mad. A big part at himself.
At himself.
Like, man, I fucked this whole thing up. She thinks all I want is her body.
Yeah.
And he says to her, I'm sorry for not being more clear. I wish to sit with you, dine with you, speak with you, but I'm fully aware that I will not have the privilege of bedding you again until you are well. And she's like, I mean, that might be longer than the games, though. Like, this is weeks.
We're talking a few weeks.
And she's like, Lady Hilda had to stitch and cautioned me against intense physical exertion. And he, like, gets a little smile on his face.
And a little
he's
blush.
Like, last night was intense, wasn't it, little bird? And she's like, yeah, it was. And he's like, I enjoyed it. I liked it. And then it happens. The dawning of a small sun. She smiles at me for only the second time, the first being when I first met her. It's a small caged thing, unlike the first time when she gave me a little more. She didn't call me by any honorific, and she didn't look down at her feet, but sought my gaze. Yet, this is still a start. And he is just, they're so cute together. Then she says to him, you were very vocal in your pleasure, my lord. And he looks over at her and he's like, is she
flirting with
teasing me? Oh, and he loves it. The boy, that pony is whinnying, and they're delighted. And he's like, I hope that those were pleasurable screams that you were doing. And she's like, yeah, they were. And he's like, man, I mean, like, if you ever wanted to, like, you know, give me the deets on what you really, really liked about last night, I wouldn't say no to that, you know? Yeah. I'd be interested. And she's like, it was lovely.
It was lovely.
Yeah. They're so cute.
Ugh. And so he tells her that he delayed the start of the games until tomorrow. So he wants to spend the rest of the day with her, just hanging out, essentially. And she is, oh God, what?
Oh, and then he looks at her and she's like, so you want me again? And he says, among many other things, but I will not touch you again in Winterbryn. Your body needs time to heal. And she's like, but you won't touch me here? And he says, but perhaps in Ithanir. And she's like, oh, in Ithanir? And he's like, I'd like you to spend these next few days considering if you might come with me. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, you want me to come with you, my king?
Yeah.
And he says, no, I want you to come with me, Kalai.
Oh.
And then she gets it. She's like, okay, hang on. You made a promise that you weren't going to fuck me crazy style, but I made no such promises. So we're doing this. And then he like goes to lay her on her back and she gasps.
Well, wait, I'm so sorry. She says, I would be honored to watch the games at your side, Kalai. My heart slams against my rib cage and I smile. The honor, Starling, is all mine.
And then, like, they start kissing, and they're both getting real into it. And he goes to lay her on her back, and she gasps in pain. So he just rolls them over. Now she's on top of him.
Yeah.
And she is so into it. And, oh, my God, it was so cute because he's like, oh, my God. He literally says word for word, I'm supposed to be a good boy, Starling. His voice is so strained and it sounds like he's being tortured. And she says, I made no such promises. And then she rides him. And as she's riding him, she says, I would be a fool not to go with you when you leave this place, my king. I'll be your helper, your mistress, your whore, whatever you have need of me. And he says, my little bird, and this is at the end, and they're just like snuggled up forehead to forehead, and he says, my little bird, He breathes hard against my forehead and then slowly plants a kiss right between my eyes. It
Oh,
is searing. I would not take you away from Winterbryn as anything less than my queen. Shut the
oh
fuck up.
my God.
Shut the fuck up. And then everything goes bad.
Well, hold on. Yeah. So here are some things that Calai has done and is very good at. Calai loves an omission, or like a slight deviation to the truth without actually lying. So, for example, he said that, oh, yeah, Oleg and Rosalind said they would be happy to discharge you from your duties for the next few days so that you can hang out with me. And then after that, they're talking about like how thralls are treated and how he hates the way they're treated here. And so she says out loud, maybe Oleg and Rosalind can learn from another example. And then the king says, yes, Oleg and Rosalind have learned what happens when my people are mistreated, he says cryptically. And then he tells her that the thralls have been totally released and everybody's on a living wage system. She's so excited about that. And then he spends the rest of the day just like picking her brain about the village because he realizes that if he's going to get rid of Oleg, he needs to restore some sort of order here by installing another chief and like making sure they understand that the thrall system is over and all of that. So he's picking her brain and being like, who do you think would have a good personality for like this thing? And like, what do you think about Vikra? Do you think he'd be a good leader? And she, oh God, she says like, not only is he like so warm and smart, but he really like genuinely wants to know what I think about things. And that's a whole new world for her. And it's just the best. They spend the whole day like that. And then, yeah, at the end, she decides to go with him and he tells her that he's going to do it as his queen.
I just need to read you what he says at one point because it is
Please.
So swoony. Because he looks at her and he says, as I've told you, I'm a believer in the gods, and I fear Rhea as I do Gabari. When I say I marry once, I mean that in all ways. Our binding, should you accept, will be the only one I'll ever have, and I do not fear disappointment because you are a warrior. I have seen it. And you do not understand beauty if you do not see it in your own face. I had not seen you yet when I decided to help you with Tori 2 nights ago, but when the moon shone on you in the square, I knew I had never seen anything so lovely. Do not deface or demean that which I hold in so high regard. And she says, you speak too kindly to me. It would be easier to accept your offer if you were mean. And then he forehead kisses her again. And he says, it will not be easy. We will need to learn each other, but I can already tell you that I like all that I have seen. And she says, as do I. I think I could make you a fine wife, or at least I will try. And then he snuggles her up and kisses her real tender like and says, you do not need to try. Come as you are?
Oh. And up until this point, she's also been very honest to him about being a little frightened, like not necessarily even of the rumors or the stories about him, right? Like of the way that he's presented himself to her, like his intensity and all of that. She's like, you scare me. And I love the fact that they're just so honest with each other, like there really isn't. Okay, yeah, no, you're right. She's very honest with him.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
He's not honest if you don't include lies of omission.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. And he tells her like he was the guy in the village that stepped in with Tori. And she's like, oh my gosh, you were so kind. And oh God, come as you are. I just got to that.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
And then they braid each other. It's the first day of the games. And they braid each other's hair.
Yeah.
It's so cute and so sweet and just so touching. And then this is when everything goes to shit. Because
Well, yeah.
yeah, they go to
It's
the
time
games.
for the games.
And
Well, but
Oleg,
first, I'm so sorry. I'm going to tell you every detail of this book, and I simply will not be told no. So on the way.
hey, if I am nothing if not a allower and an enabler.
Yep, it's true.
Take the floor.
Thank you so much. So when they go out, the servants are like, "Do you want a horse?" And he looks at her and he says, would you mind walking? And she's like, "I'm sorry, in my brand new fur-lined boots? No, I would not mind. I would love to walk." So he takes her hand and they start walking in the beautiful Norwegian crisp winter sunny day all the way to the games. And on the way, she's seeing people that she knows from around town, but they're looking at her in the eye and they're smiling at her and they're waving. And she thinks to herself, those are probably the people who've wanted to do that, but couldn't because of the old social structure, you know? And then she's like, the rest of the thralls, none of them have their heads down. They have their heads straight up and they're looking forward and they look so happy and their steps are bouncy and they look over at King Kalai and like smile. And she's like, this is a whole new world. And it's a perfect world, she's thinking to herself. I've got this beautiful man who like really likes me and I really like him and we're holding hands, okay? Like she's on the top of the world in her brand new fur-lined boots and his fur cloak. Yep. She's wearing his furs. Not only does she have a fur for the first time, they are in fact the kings. So then they get to this raised dais where they're supposed to sit and she's nervous. Get there,
and it is noted that Oleg and Rosalind are sitting there. And I went, there. You fucking didn't. You did not.
I went,
dude.
Oh no.
Oh my God, you didn't. Oh, listener, he did. Because my first thought was he wants to put Vikra in place of Oleg as the leader of Winterbrunn. And I was like, well, maybe she is just mistaking the two people up there for Vikra and his wife.
Right.
No.
Nope. So she's nervous about making eye contact with Rosalind because of the way they left things. And then her, like, not really getting details about how Rosalind and Oleg agreed to, like, discharge her from her duties and stuff. And, like, it's going to be a little weird looking at her as the future queen of Wrath and stuff.
Does it count as agreeing if there's no possible way to air a grievance against it?
That's an interesting notion. So she looks over and she sees the absolutely ruined, tortured body of Rosalind. Still, oh my God, when he was pouring this metal down her throat, he thought to himself, she's going to be a little bit heavier after I'm done with this when we carry her around. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a good deal heavier with all this metal in her belly. Holy shit.
The Bone King is a maniac.
Yes. And so she sees like the gold and silver like dried in rivulets down her chin, and then sees that her entire throat has been burned out by this gold and silver. And she's looking up at the sky with an open mouth, just frozen that way, not only in death, but also in cured metal, you know?
My first thought was ancient Viking times Tide Pod.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Ancient Viking times Drano. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I also really liked it because it gave me season 1 Game of Thrones vibes where Daenerys kills her brother, or like, you know, her husband kills her brother by he says he's going to give him his crown and he pours metal all over his head. So It's excellent.
Boy,
Anyway,
I don't remember
he
that.
really deserved it.
I haven't watched the first season of Game of Thrones since probably 2013, and I had no memory of that.
Yeah.
And she's horrified. And in her head, she thinks this is like end of chapter. In between tender touches and words that were saccharine sweet, did King Kalai torture and murder Lady Rosalind mere feet from where I was sleeping? The King of Bones is a madman.
Yes.
And this is when she realizes, so her father, before his death, was abusive. His mother, or her mother, was cowed by it. She felt his abuse as well. She has been nothing but other people turning their cruelty on her or turning their face and not acknowledging other people's cruelty to her. And this is the moment where she goes, all of those sweet words mean nothing. Actions matter. And this man's actions say that, like he says, come as you are, but oh no, what happens in 5 years when he no longer likes that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And that's fair, Starling, you know? I mean, and I think about her mom and dad and like their relationship, because we find out that like it's really abusive, and he won her in a raid. That's how her mom ended up. They did a raid and he grabbed her as his bounty, came back, made her his wife, and that's why she was one of 2 Black people in town. And when her mom died, she's now the only Black person in town.
Yeah, it's described as the only other person similar is the woman who runs the inn just outside of town. Like one of the only functional, prospering businesses. And it's because they're not directly underneath Oleg and Rosalind's thumb. Like she can get income from other places. Starts with an M.
Yeah,
I don't remember exactly.
Something like that.
Moira or something like that. Yeah. So and we haven't seen her a whole lot yet, but she's been described because she was being discussed when he was trying to get info on like who could do this in town and like who would be good at this, and the inn lady is one of them.
And she was one of the women who were brought back on that same raid.
Her mother and the inn lady, like the innkeeper, were captured in the same raid. They come from the same original land.
Yeah.
And God. Yeah.
And so she lost her mom because, trigger warning for abuse and a murder-suicide kind of situation. Her dad went all the way one night, he didn't stop himself. And so he killed his wife and then killed himself. And I don't remember if Starling just wasn't in the house or if she was hiding. I don't remember if we got those details. But he obviously didn't kill her. And that is when Rosalind went to her house, took everything of value, made her her ward, and subsequently made her a thrall. And was like, you should be very thankful because otherwise you'd be freezing to death or, having to whore yourself out or whatever.
Oh my God. And another slap on the face for this entire experience today is her mother was a seamstress and a clothing designer. And he found a dress in Rosalind's things that supposedly would fit
Starling, because she's tinier than everyone.
And she recognizes that it's the last dress that she remembers her mother making. And so she's like, today started off
she's wearing it right now.
Yeah. And like she thought it was gone. She thought Rosalind took all of the stuff from their home that was worth anything and sold it, but no, she kept it. And now
she's just hoarding it
back. And today started so perfect and now it's so bad.
Yeah, because she's like, oh shit, look at Rosalind. Why is Oleg okay with this? And so she looks over at him and he's tied down to the chair. He's fully tied down and he looks at her and he starts spitting vitriol about how she's terrible and has ruined everything and all the business. And Pulio, without any encouragement whatsoever, just comes over and like shoves a rock and a gag in his mouth.
Because to be clear, listener, King Kalai is not the only one who's like, I can get down with some torture and murder.
Fuck no.
You know, like, I love some violence, some blood. Let's fucking go.
So now he notices that she has gotten smaller and quieter, and she's like not looking at him anymore. She will only look straight ahead, and she's very still. He keeps on trying to like grab her hand, and she's not really grabbing it back, you know, like he's holding her hand, period, the end. And he thinks like, he says to Oleg, like, oh, Oleg, is that really a way to talk to your future queen? And then as Oleg like starts going over there, he just brings her hand up to his mouth and kisses it really softly and puts it back down.
Well, one of the things that fucks her up most is that half of him, he looks over left to Oleg and is cruel and violent and clearly has no issues with what's going on and is extremely happy about what is going on. He has no problem with sitting next to this decaying body of a person who at this point is more solid metal than human. And at the same time, the hand holding hers is so soft and gentle and just devout in his devotion to her. And she's like, when will the fury that he is expressing on the other side of him lash me?
Be applied to me. Yeah. Because, like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when to her. And so she thinks to herself, like, all I know about this whole situation is that he's a madman and I cannot be his wife.
Well, yes. And so then that day of the games is based around Tori's torture, and it's humiliation based.
It's great.
Listener, you should see the way that Melody was like looking down, doing a thing, living her life, and then I said that, and she popped up like earlier when we were talking about like Melody popping in the side and being like, I concur. This time it's her popping in the other side, like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, the torture of Tori was pretty great, I thought.
Oh my God.
But because he does it in a way that like Tori is too stupid to notice or understand. Tori thinks it's like him being honored because he's such a good fighter. You know, like, oh, Tori, you're gonna do a fighting train on the rest of these guys. I don't know. How do you
I mean, they're going to run a fighting train on him. He is the recipient of said train. They're running a train on him. He's not running a train on
that's not how they phrased
nobody.
It. No. Maybe it's like a marathon or something. I don't remember how he phrases it, but he's like, Tori, you're the best, and so you're going to fight every man here. And like every dude that manages to like get the first one who draws blood or whatever is the one who wins. And everyone who wins against Tori is automatically going to go forward in the rounds tomorrow. So he ends up fighting, and it's this whole thing. Tori has no honor. He tries to like really maim one of the competitors after the fight is over while his back is turned at one point. And it's just like nuts.
He's also not doing so hot because he's not getting any medical attention between any of these, and he's also not getting any rest. And Kalai's like, well, you wouldn't get that on the battlefield, now would you? You silly little goose. Next.
Yep. So he keeps on every once in a while being like, hey, little bird, are you sure everything's all right? And she's like, everything's fine. And when does she puke? It's like now.
Day. No, it's the next day.
Oh, okay.
It's the first thing of the next day. So they go to dinner that night, and then halfway through, she's like, hey, I'm not feeling real well. I need to go. And so
she escapes into sleep.
And then he goes, she's already
because he says, we're going to talk about this tonight. And she's like, not if I'm sleeping.
Not on my watch. And so the next day when they go back to that dais, it's she's like, oh my God, there's now flies buzzing in and out of Rosalind's mouth. And it looks like she and Oleg were just left there overnight.
Yeah. Has Oleg been given any water? She doesn't know.
Probably it's hard to get. It's hard to drink water when you got a rock tied into your mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
So then that day,
oh my god, I'm so sorry. We forgot to tell them what a hot dummy Kelly is, though, in that first day, because at one point she looks at him and she's like, "What did you do to Rosalind? Did you melt that and put it down her throat?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I let all of your former thralls beat on her with a whip, like as much as they wanted, and they were really excited about it." And she like gets a little green, and he's like, "Oh no," and he thinks in his mind, he's like, "She looks upset about this. Why would she be upset? Oh no. Did you want a turn? Did I offend you by not giving you a turn to wail on Rosalind?
I'm so sorry. You were sleeping. I thought you needed rest."
Yeah, if that's the case, I would love to let you wail on Oleg in her place. Would you like that? I can get him out right now for you. And she's like, no, I do not want that.
Well, and then specifically, she's like, "No, Your Highness." And he's like, "Your Highness? That's even farther than my lord or my king or King Kalai."
Like, we've taken 3 steps back, and I don't know how we did it.
How did we get here?
Yeah. So apparently that night, all of his soldiers were like, "Hey, man, she's squeamish around violence. She doesn't like it. You got to stop doing this shit." Yes. They did the night before. We don't see it, but they reference it the next day.
Yes.
That they tell him, like, not to go so ham on the gore.
Well, so what happens? And Melody, boy, you must have loved this, because the next day they go back out there, and the new form of torture for Tori.
We've got a new game. It's a new game today.
Fun is horrifying.
Look, cool it. All right, listener, what Kelly says, he looks at all these guys and he's like, "Okay, we're going to do this Tory game again. But this time, if you can take something from him, then you'll automatically be, put forth."
Hey, listener, before we continue, I need you to remember very clearly that all I said was, it was horrifying. And Melody went, wait, and then started to explain.
Yeah.
I need all of us to remember that exchange as Melody rolls into this.
Yeah. I just needed them to know how reasonable it sounded at first. You know what I mean? So he says, if you can take something from him.
Importantly,
Sabrina
I did not state the way that he stated it initially was horrifying.
You're right.
All I said was, it is horrifying.
I just want them to have a similar experience to the reading experience,
And me.
Yeah. I will also, actually do.
In what world, Melody, has listener listened to this entire episode and is like, this is going to be a reasonable day, though. This is where it becomes not medieval, like this is when it becomes not Iron Maiden stretch rap bullshit.
So he says that if you can take something from him, then you advance. And then one of the guys is like, "So, point of order, do you like his shield or his sword or whatever?" And he says, "Oh, yeah, see, shield, sword. But if you want to take something even more permanent, feel free. If you want to take a hand, his ears,
tip of his
that
nose.
Kind of thing." Tip of his nose was a bridge too far for me, and I still haven't figured out why.
Oh my God, you didn't mean that pun, did you?
No. What pun?
The tip of his nose? the bridge, the tip of your nose is at
oh
the
my God, there's a bridge on your
bridge
nose.
of
Oh
your
no.
nose.
No,
It's a
I was
bridge.
really.
It's a bridge too far? Really?
Shit. No, I wow. I'm honestly a little bit embarrassed that I didn't mean that pun.
Well, like you said it and I was about to like slow clap and then you continued and I was like, oh.
She's still looking at me very earnestly.
How did you? Wow. Okay. All right.
I didn't even hear it.
Accidental coin a punny bullshit.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, tip and bridge. I don't understand how those things would be a pun. No, it's nose and bridge, you see. That's where the pun lies. Anyway. So she is like, oh my God, this is horrible. And as they start like, fighting again, she gets up and runs to the back of the stage and throws up. There is a moment the first day where Hildy does a badass. Because I swear to God, she says she's going to go to the bathroom, and at the bathroom, she throws up. And then when they get back, Hildy, without asking permission, covers Rosalind in a blanket. And he is like, I don't really understand what that does. Like, you can still see that she's like writhing in pain, She's like she's all
not writhing.
Contorted. She's contorted in pain in her last final death throw.
There's not a writhe to be seen.
No.
Has not for a long while.
Right. So then this day,
she goes and
vomits off the back of the stage.
Vomits?
Well, yeah, because she watches Tori's ears get taken off.
Oh my God. And he goes up behind this motherfucker.
Oh my God.
Axe-handed motherfucker has the nerve to go lovingly pet up and down her back as she's
hair.
Vomiting. And says,
and he's so confused.
I'm sorry, little bird. Are you all right? Of course she's not all right, Hildy grunts. I told you last night your queen has a soft heart. This violence is too much for her. She should not be required to watch the games if this is how you plan to conduct them. And he says, very importantly, I am doing this for her, he argues, as I finally find my feet. And she looks up at him and she whispers,
she finds her courage, it says.
Yep. And then a thimble of confidence drags itself up my throat and makes itself known on my lips. No, you aren't, I whisper. I did not ask for this and I do not want it. You do this for yourself.
Yep.
And then he glares down at her, all stony and severe. And Hildy takes her back to the village. And she thinks to herself, and I know two things with absolute clarity. Yeah. I cannot be King Kalai's wife, and I absolutely cannot stay here because she knows that she thinks that anyone who helps her in this escape, essentially, will be tortured in the same way that there's no way he's going to let her, when he catches her, he's flaying that back. She's not getting out of this without being tortured because he's going to turn all of this sick shit on her.
Oh, you thought she was scared of an immediate physical punishment?
She states, I don't know what he's going to do when he catches up to me, but it's not going to be good.
No, but that's after she runs.
What he does. She's already decided she's running.
No, I know. But my interpretation was that she said, I can't stay here because she knows that he will, no matter what, either talk her into going with him again or just take her with him again, right? Like take the choice away.
So
she's running.
He's gonna flay that back and then steal her anyway.
No, I didn't get that. I didn't get that she was afraid that he would immediately punish her with physical violence. I don't know why.
Oh,
maybe I'm wrong.
I thought that was
the next step.
I mean, you've read the book a hell of a lot more than I have. So
I don't know. I might be brainwashed at this point. You know what I mean?
I don't know that it's so much brainwashed as a certain Part of your brain is being scratched in a way that it doesn't usually get attention.
I just start purring. Callie. Yeah. So when he gets, so he's like, well, this isn't fun anymore. I guess now that my wife is upset, like, I'll let Tori go. And
he sends him off to the healers.
Yeah, and he says, like, oh, fine, I'll just kill Oleg quickly now. Like, I need a sacrifice anyway for, like, this reason. So he does, like, a quick, sacrifice and bathe in the blood and drink the blood situation that it's just a normal Tuesday for him.
As much as it pains me to admit, it would seem that yesterday Hildy was right. My little bird is not a little violent thing.
I love him.
She is not the shield maiden to sever heads at my side, but the strong planks of a house to ward away the rain. She is my shelter as I wish to be hers. She is not my blade.
Yes.
Oh.
Callie immediately gets it, for the record.
I mean,
he immediately gets it.
That's a loose definition of
no, he does. He does the things that he knows he has to do and enjoys out of sight, okay, and quickly, all right? He doesn't prolong it more than he needs to.
No,
and then, not only that, he super gets it because when he gets back, he's about to go into their bedroom, and then he looks at one of his guys and he's like, she probably wouldn't like seeing me, like, bathed in the blood of my enemy, right? And the guy's like, if you had to ask, then you already have your answer. And he's like, God damn it, I'm going to go take a bath then. Oh, he goes and bathes, and he's so sad he has to take the braids that she did out of his hair to get all the blood out thoroughly.
Well, and he thinks to himself, he's like, I really hope that, like, she forgives me and that she'll braid my hair every day again for the rest of my life and then the ever after, because, like, she's my one and only, and we're gonna be together for eternity, and I really hope that she braids my hair again, and I want to braid hers.
I just really hope she's not so mad she won't braid my hair anymore, he thinks. So he goes into the bedroom and she's not in bed. And he's like, huh. So he like goes into another room and she's not there either. But he does notice that like his dagger, there's like a jewel crusted dagger that's gone. And like all of the food is gone. Her dress is gone. A bunch of water skins are gone. But his furs are there still.
Oh, God. Just stab me in the heart.
Yeah, it's devastating. And so he immediately is like, revelators move out, let's go. We got a lady to catch. Is that a thing? A revelators move out?
What is a revelator? You mean Autobots? Know.
I think no, but that's a whole
Autobots move out.
I mean, yeah, that is also a thing. Hold on. Revelators.
What's
I mean, it's a really good song. A revelator is somebody who like reveals the truth.
No, I know, but like, what is in this context?
Look, how dare you is really my answer to that.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Revelator is a song. Revelators move out. I feel like is a phrase.
I'm sorry. Now that I've made the Autobots reference, I will not be able to help you because that's the only possible solution in my brain.
I hear you. It's all I'm thinking too.
So anyway, she decides to take it through the forest. She makes it all the way to the inn because she's like, if I can make it to the inn, I can sell some stuff. I can make it work. I can get from Winterbryn to Wrath and then beyond because I cannot stay here and I cannot stop in Wrath because this man will never stop hunting me. And I can't tell anybody because if he finds out that they assisted me, all hell's breaking loose and those people are not making out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets Moira, that is the innkeeper's name.
Oh, it's Moira.
She gets there, and apparently Moira. This is when we find out that like the history that Moira and her mother had. We learned that Moira helps women get out of abusive situations, and that she offered to help Starling's mom get
Escape with
her
her.
and Starling out. And she is horrified to realize that her mom didn't, because she was so scared of her dad. And it's heinous. It's
and then
awful.
she finds
it's
out
so sad.
that Moira tried to purchase Starling from Rosalind to set her free and like give her a life with a living wage if she wanted, or help her get wherever she wanted to go when she was a child. And she wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and because specifically Rosalind, the purchase price was too high. Because as if Rosalind was not already enough of a heinous monster of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So Moira agrees to help and is like, we're going to do this. And she's hiding in the stable while they get everything figured out to get her situated. And then she overhears in the stable Tori and Torben, who was Oleg's second and theoretically the next in line to take over
and Vikra's
leadership.
Dad.
And Vikra's dad, and boy, he's a big ol' asshole. If you're either an asshole or you're not an asshole in this book. And those that are assholes are like assholes.
Absolutely terrible. Yeah, because she's like, I don't know why Torben would like back Tori. That's weird. And then he's like, I can't believe he would put my son as chief over me and ignore my claim. And she's like, oh, there we go. That's it. So then she realizes that like they are, so Moira has gotten all of his soldiers to go to like an adjacent tavern by bribing them with free booze so that she can empty out the inn where Kalai is currently, and she's plying him with wine and drawing him a bath. So she knows all of this is going on. And then she hears these guys be like, are we enough though? Like, are we going to be able to best him? And then Tori goes, we are 7. And she's like, oh my God, 7? And he's drunk and he's fucking naked and he's slippery.
Man, is 7 people enough to take on good old axe hands, pony fanny pack monster cock? I think we're good.
She doesn't know about that. And she's worried about him. And so she thinks to herself, I can't let them kill Kalai. And so, protecting him is more important than going for my freedom.
Also, very importantly, though, Moira, when she was talking to Starling about this whole thing, she said, so Starling was basically like, I can't do the violence.
I'm scared of him.
I can't do the violence. I'm afraid of him. And Moira says, violent towards you or violent for you, there's a difference. And Starling is like, I just can't stomach it, any of it. And Moira says, you're a grown woman and I loved this.
Yeah.
You are a grown woman of sound mind. If you've made yours up, I will not question it. The king will never know that you are here tonight, though I will tell you that he does not seem like a male who's come with the intent to punish. He seems more like a male who's come with the intent to plead.
Plead.
And so she's thinking to herself, she's like, one, if they actually get rid of the king and kill him, everyone is worse off for it. Nobody
the thralls
wants
are thralled again.
Yeah, no one wants Torben and Tori in charge. And my life is not worth all of theirs and their newfound freedom.
And then she's like, and I'm crossing my fingers with that pleading and violent for me, not to me. You know, she's like really, really hoping against hope that that's the case. But
she's still taking the risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Starling so much.
I do too. She's so brave.
She runs upstairs. She gets up to the top of the stairs at the same time that all of the boys from the stable get up there. And she hollers. She's like, Kalai,
they've come to kill
you. And the only room that she hears sound from is
behind her. So she backs up into it and she's going to put her body in front of Kalai.
She has
her teeny tiny dagger in front of her.
I mean, to be clear, To be fair, though, if it's Kalai's dagger, it's really just like a fucking. She's got a broadsword in her hands right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tori is like, what happened?
Your mic did something weird for a second and it was rough.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Just in case, though.
So she's backed up against that wall with the knife in front of her, and Tori is really like gloating and being like, don't kill her. This is a day to only kill kings, not to kill whores. Leave her for me. And then he threatens her with one of the worst,
most horrifying things
I've ever heard in my life. I mean, I had to listen to it twice just to be sure that Elizabeth Stevens actually went there, and boy, she did. That was incredible.
If there is one thing Elizabeth Stevens is willing to do, it is go there.
It's go there. She's not going to pull her punches. Oh, it's so good. So then the door behind her opens, and she's like trying to make herself even bigger. But then she realizes that, like, it's a lady, and then the guy behind him putting his clothes back on is super not Kalai. He's, like, a foot too short or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then they all realize that Kalai has to be behind them, but not before she sees him slippery, okay? Just rivulets of water going down
covered in oil?
Yep. He's probably oiled up, too. And, like, the light is hitting him just perfectly as he opens that door.
Melody, very importantly, it is not a if, probably. Oh. It is very importantly to me, and it was explicitly stated. He had oil all over his body, and I was like,
I love it.
Love that. Yeah. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, so then she watches him murder all of them with his bare hands, except for Tori. And Tori, like, he's standing in front of her, and so Kalai is close enough to them because he's worried about her, and he realizes that Tori's like gone very rigid, and it's because she has put her dagger through his ribs into his heart to save Kalai. And then he falls to the ground. Tell him.
He comes forward towards me, and I don't back away. Not even as he stands less than half a pace away from me and brings two of his blood-coated fingers to my right cheek. He makes a single downward stroke from my temple to my jawline before repeating the motion on the other side of my face. I know the mark and its meaning. It's a warrior's mark. I've only seen it delivered once, when Winterbrunn was raided when I was young, and a then young Vikra killed one of the raiders. It was his first kill, and Oleg had given him this mark. Vikra had been celebrated that night. To receive a similar mark now makes me feel a little horrified, but also so seen. Because she is recognizing through hell that she is a little warrior.
She is. Absolutely.
For those that she cares about. And she's courageous and brave.
Yeah. And so he says, you left. And she says, I did. And then she starts apologizing. And he says, you ran from me. And she says, yes. And she starts to shake. And she says that she tries to cobble together 1,000 apologies, but she can't get any of them out. And she says, I know you. He cuts me off, his voice a deep and loud boom that acts as a hook in my stomach, pulling everything up. And then you came back, he whispers. Yes, to save my life. His hand moves down the side of my body, fingertips trailing over the outside of my arm until he reaches my hand. He squeezes my fist around the dagger, and when he exhales, he sounds even shakier than I am. Thank you, little bird. Thank you is not what I expected to hear from him now, and the terror it lifts from my bones is enough to make me fall to my feet. Oh, it's so good.
And then she starts to apologize, though, and he says, "It is I who am sorry, little bird, my queen. I should have taken better care. I exacted a revenge I wanted for acts
Mm-hmm.
committed against you. I revenged for me. It was wrong. I should have asked what you wanted, and I will not make the same mistake again." And then
Mm-hmm.
she explains, she's like, "You
Yeah.
reminded me of everyone who has ever raised a hand against me. And I was worried
Mm-hmm.
that you would just be another one of those, and I can't do anything. I can't stop you." And he says, "You can. You always can. We come from two worlds, just as Rhea and Gabari do, but it is Rhea who turns Gabari's head and stays his hand, just as you can mine. Do not allow me to displease you, little bird, and I vow that I will not ruin your tenderness with violence."
Oh my gosh.
She's his soft place.
Yes. And she's like, I should have found my courage earlier. And he says, you found it when it counted. Like, he's so. Oh, and then she says, I should have trusted you. And he strokes her hair. There will be time for that. And then his voice breaks. If you'll still have me. And she's like, I'll have you, Kalai. Ah!
And then he says to her, "I will have you every day for the tender, beautiful, strong, courageous, brilliant, and bloodthirsty thing that you are. You are my queen and you have my heart." And she says, "I promise I will be careful with it this time from now on."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they're together forever. And the next few chapters are named My Husband and My Wife and stuff. It's the best. They end up like going back to Ethanur and getting married in the Temple of Gabari. Like, he brings her BFF and the whole fam along. It's so cute and so great. They see mammoths for the first time. They get married. It's so wonderful.
Just the fat neighborhood mammoths that everybody feeds, because nobody's sure if the mammoth has already been fed yet.
I love it.
Oh, it was so good.
I loved this book. Holy shit. All right, what is your lady love?
My lady love is the sheer overload of food options that I have now available to me.
At your fingertips.
At a whim.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed living where I did. Okay? There are a lot of good things about where I lived before now. But being back in Louisiana, in a city that I know, wow, I have had Albertsons sushi. I've gone to an Albertsons as a grocery store. I've gone to an Aldi's. I've gone to Costco and had a Costco slice of pizza.
Wow.
I got gangdang curry from the local Thai place for dinner.
You're positively metropolitan.
Just spoiled for choice. And that's my lady love. Just food.
I love it.
Delicious foods. Yay. So available and easily accessible. And my tummy's very happy about it.
Incredible.
What's your lady love?
Mine is a person everybody has to follow right now. Her name is Monty Mader, and her handle on Instagram, and I think also on TikTok, is Monty Mader, MontyMader. She is a former alt-right Christian nationalist, like raised in that culture hardcore. She got a theology degree from Liberty University, like studied in Israel for a while. She like went hard into the Bible, right? And then when she got into the world, she started looking around and being like, the things that they said aren't the way that the things are. And as she started deconstructing her beliefs, she has gone completely to the other side and now advocates and educates people about the alt-right and Christian nationalists and all of that. So she is so smart, okay? She's like a big giant competence boner, and like that doesn't even count the cheekbone boner and like the fashion boner and stuff that other people might pay attention to. Okay? She's incredible, and the way that she uses the Bible and actually shows people what is in the Bible to take down arguments that are just hate dressed up in the Bible or not even in there, just like somebody heard that somebody else said that this thing is in the Bible. And she's like, I promise you, I've read this thing like 5 times in many different languages and many different versions. And her copy is like annotated. Her dad forced her to memorize Bible verses as she was growing up. And now she's used that as a weapon to not only educate, but to completely dismantle the hate that can come from alt-right Christian nationalism. And now, with everything else on fire, she's commenting on a lot more than just that, but she does so much contextualizing with history. She's seriously fucking brilliant, and she's so good. Oh, man, and a lot of times somebody dumb will come into her comments being like, she's never read the Bible in her life, and like, meh, meh, meh. And then she'll go into their profile and like figure shit out about them and then use Bible verses against them. And it's like a whole smackdown video, you know? Ooh.
Wow, it's been a while since I've had a religion boner, you know?
God, right? Yes. No, really though. Like, and it makes me, it gives me so much hope because especially with the way that the Bible is being used to justify the deportation of thousands of immigrants the atrocities against immigrants and citizens, frankly, as well. Mm-hmm. And the way that people use Bible verses to justify that, and she just comes in and completely schools them, you know, and uses the actual text, the actual things that are in the Christian Bible to shut them up, or not shut them up. That may not ever happen. But you know what I mean? She just she snuffs out the hateful arguments in a way that is so compelling and riveting and impressive and just fantastic, you know? So yeah, Monty Mater, go follow her. It's incredible. She just recently blew up. And that's why. She's a really good fucking follow.
Bet.
All right. Keep being a badass. And
love yourself as much as you love a pony fanny pack.
Love yourself as much as you love good old Axe Hands McGee coming at you with his monster dong right after he takes off his pony fanny pack. You know?
If he takes it off.
If he takes it off. Yeah.
If he takes it off. And scene.
So that's that.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Oh my God, 3 fucking hours. How did we do that? Thank you for listening. Next week, we'll be back with the dark rom-com Lights Out by Navessa Allen. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by me, Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by the ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. That one small action is a huge way to help the show. If you want to get in touch with us for advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. See you next week.